Stop making the eyes at me, I'll stop making the eyes at you, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Football Ramble. Arsenal got their win and Spurs are top of the league. It's Monday, 9th of October. I'm Marcus Speller.
I'm Andy Russell.
I'm Jim Campbell.
And I'm Vidushan Huntaraja.
It's Monday, everybody. Good to have you with us. The week is underway. The working week, of course, Andy. Sunday is still the first day of the week. Don't listen to what...
That's what they say in Portuguese.
Well, it's the truth.
Like the word in Portuguese for Monday is literally second day, segunda-feira.
There you are, you see. I will die on this hill, Vish.
Why? Don't do that.
Okay.
Just sit on the hill and enjoy the
With
sun.
9.5 million Portuguese people.
Oh, heck, I couldn't think of a better bunch to do it with.
Yeah.
Other than the English.
I've been to Lisbon. It's basically hills, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It's 5 hills, isn't
Yeah.
it? So, a lot of
Ridiculous.
options.
You can lot of places to have
Choose
the
a lot
fight.
of stupid things to die for.
Oh, Jim, but the important thing is we're alive, man. And we enjoyed the football, especially you.
I really did.
On the weekend. We're going to talk about our highlights of the weekend first, everybody. Andy Brassel, I'd like you to get us off to a good start.
Okay, well, I'm going to go for the best penalty save that I've ever seen in Mansfield versus Wimbledon.
Oh.
Wimbledon would have won had James Tilley scored. He absolutely smashed this penalty, and Christy Pym, the Mansfield goalkeeper, he sounds a bit like an Irish folk artist, like improbably tipped it onto the bar. It might have gone over the line.
Tipped it onto the bar. You don't often see a goalkeeper. It might be tipped round the post or maybe holds it or it goes back into play.
It looked like it might have gone over the line. He clutched it, but, no VAR. We get over it. It's fine.
It'd be goal line technology, Andy.
Yeah, Wimbledon have missed more penalties this season than the whole of the Premier League combined. And if they'd scored even half of those, they'd be top.
That's amazing.
Wow.
So was the penalty, did he try and roof the penalty or was it like pushed up from...
He tried to smash it into the roof of the net. And
the keeper saved it.
He just got fingertips on it and it came down sort of onto approximately the line and clutched it back.
That is incredible.
It was a genuinely amazing penalty save because I think you would say 999 out of 1,000 penalty saves. You think, oh yeah, he didn't really get hold of that, the taker, did you? But
it's harsh on goalkeepers.
On that occasion, but don't you think?
Well, I think David Ospina in the 2018 World Cup would disagree with you.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's quite
David
unusual.
Ospina?
Yeah, when he saved from Jordan Henderson, who really got hold of it right.
But it's quite unusual. My point is for a taker to not have blame attached to them when they don't score a penalty.
Again, I would.
But that definitely felt like the case here.
Well, again, with my mention of the 2018 World Cup, I would very much defend Jordan Henderson again.
It's just an excuse to bring up the 2018 World Cup.
That's the hill then, is it?
Yeah.
That is the hill.
Jim Campbell.
My highlight simply has to be Olivier Giroud
Speaking of
going in goal
goalkeepers.
for AC Milan. After Mike Maignan was sent off. And preserving the clean sheet. He wasn't in goal for very long. The save he made was very, very messy and scrambly, but he made it nonetheless. And he's got more clean sheets than Andre Onana, isn't he now?
There was also a moment when he put his goalkeeper jersey on. Well, actually, not his goalkeeper jersey on, but he put the goalkeeper jersey on.
Magic Mike.
Well, it was like the, do you remember those old Diet Coke adverts about the 11 a.m. like Diet Coke break?
Oh,
right.
Yeah. It's just like everyone just oogling at this one sexy man taking his shirt off.
Which was Tim Flowers.
Was it?
Yeah. No, you're talking about goalkeepers,
Of course, Kanye West was one of the oglers. He was at the game wearing a Genoa scarf.
Oh, yeah.
And during the game, in response to this, Kim Kardashian started Instagramming all her signed Milan shirts.
This is odd.
No way.
Yeah.
That's
This is
so
awful.
messy.
Isn't it odd? What was Ye or Ye doing there? That's what I want to know. But it was what I loved about the save Giroud made, the one you were talking about, is it was very unorthodox. And sometimes when a goalkeeper, an outfield player goes in goal, they can do something, and you think, why do the proper goalkeepers not do that? There's obviously a good reason because it looks quite good and it's quite effective. But it's more kind of slightly more luck than judgment, I suppose you could say.
I don't know why, you just remind me of a kid at school who was doing the high jump, and rather than do the Fosbury flop, which obviously is a thing because it works.
Well, that was unorthodox. That was
just charging, trying to hurdle over it, bashing into it every time,
doing a Klinsmann over it.
And it's like we know that this doesn't work.
Yeah.
Other people would have tried it.
That's right. Yeah, you've simply just got to get over it by any means within the realms of the laws of that sport. Vish, your highlight of the weekend.
My highlight of the weekend was Newcastle's second goal. Specifically, Kieran Trippier's volleyed cross.
Do you know what? That I thought about having that as my highlight of the week.
And it was really satisfying because Guimaraes puts the ball over, Trippier hits it first time into the box where Isak slots it in with his left foot.
He almost controls it into the goal. Doesn't he?
So each touch is softer than the previous touch.
Headers and volleys
very satisfying.
in the Premier League.
Yeah. So it should count double. So they won. Newcastle beats West Ham 3-2.
That's certainly how the Piff Posse are framing it.
Yeah. Well, PGMOL are yet to apologise to them.
Yeah.
But more on that as we get it.
Indeed. Yeah, I nearly had Harrison's goal for Everton as my as my highlight of the weekend, but I'm sort of duty bound to say that Andy Carroll's first goal for Amiens in the French second tier would be my highlight of the weekend. I love it. It was framed. Andy Carroll scores his first goal for Amiens, but they lost 4-1. And it was just like, yeah, of course they did. But the big man, you can't keep a big man down, Jim Campbell.
That's not.
Yeah. Let us go to the Premier League then. Arsenal won. Manchester City nil. Manchester City lose back-to-back league games for the first time ever. No, for the first time, I think, since 2018. It was a wonderful victory for Arsenal.
It really was. 1-0 at the carpet.
Yeah.
Take it. Take it. Take it. It was great. It was an absolutely beautiful afternoon. Really, really enjoyed it. No one was expecting to see Gabriel Martinelli. That was very, very WWE. Just like suddenly there he is. No one expecting it.
Well, you suggested Saka would play.
I did think Saka would play. And
I might have picked my fantasy team on that basis. So thanks a lot, Jim.
I told you that Man City were going to lose and also that Arsenal were going to win. And you didn't listen, did you?
So I took the wrong tip off you, basically.
You did, yeah. You did.
Right.
Oh, that's a brave card for you to play about wrong tips.
We're very brave. But, I mean, look, it wasn't a classic game. We've seen better ones.
It's funny, actually. Everyone's been saying that. Obviously, I was at the game and you're very, very tense when you're invested in it. And it seemed very, very compact. But I didn't get the impression it was sort of like a drab game to watch. But then when you're invested in a game like this, you feel like you're actually playing in it yourself.
Well, I mean, think when these two teams are playing, you can't take your eyes off it. I thought it was interesting, Andy, that Arteta mixed it up tactically. And it's easy to say this after the game when they've won. But last season, particularly when they went to the Etihad, and they were humbled, quite frankly. They tried to go toe-to-toe, and I just remember thinking, what are you doing? They're a better side. Yeah, and I understand that come on, back yourself. If they went there and they tried to be a bit more defensive and maybe set up a little bit like they did yesterday, people go, oh, for crying out loud, why didn't you go and back yourselves, go toe-to-toe with them and have it? You see, again, it's easy to say this after the game's been played and we see the results, but to go toe-to-toe with a side who are demonstrably better than you is sometimes maybe not the best way to play it. He mixed it up. He stifled Manchester City. What was the statistic that they were reduced to 4 shots in 94 minutes, the lowest from a Pep Guardiola side in a single match in 13 years? It showed you where their priorities were.
Yeah, and I think it's taken another lead from Guardiola in a way, isn't it? Just finding the way to win. Because if you look at what Guardiola's changed, Guardiola's become more English, really, in his outlook. Certainly his Manchester City outlook in the last couple of years.
He's learning from us.
Exactly. But after that chastening first season, things have changed, and he's gone to getting defenders who actually defend, getting a centre forward so he can be a little bit more direct. And to me, this felt like, if you'd have said this, if you didn't know who the two coaches were and you'd have said they were two English managers, I would have believed you, because it was quite doing the basics well. Both teams played quite direct. It was quite a direct move that got Arsenal their winner in the end. It didn't feel like what you would perpetually think a Guardiola versus Arteta sort of game was like.
It felt very different from a lot of previous games against Man City, I think.
Yeah.
And it needed to from Arsenal's point of view.
Absolutely. I think Rodri's absence is obviously massive. Bernardo Silva playing in that role was a bit of a surprise. Obviously, I guess, the idea was to sort of build play from deep. But I think, as you sort of alluded to, Marcus, I think Arteta got his selection absolutely right. Jorginho and Rice together gave so much security. And there was just a sense that Arsenal were going to stand up to everything. Saliba marshalled Erling Haaland so well, from really early on as well, which made it different. No, he essentially Saliba put quite a big tackle in on him early on, and that it was one of those ones that seemed to set the tone. And there was a couple of wobbly moments early on, but they weathered that as well, and that's been a problem at home for Arsenal, making silly mistakes which kind of stick out like a sore thumb when they lead to a goal.
Like
they
David
had
Raya.
a couple, like David Raya, who grew into the game though.
Flipping heck.
Yeah, I know. But he really grew into the game.
Yeah.
It was really impressive actually, because I was just waiting for it to go completely tits up. As soon as that first shot of Ramsdale on the bench biting his nails, I was like, right, okay, is this the kind of game it's going to be? But actually, by the end of the first half, he was spraying balls out to Jesus on the right.
Yeah.
And in the second half, there were a few balls leading up to the goal where he was just finding people out wide, because evidently they just couldn't beat City's like 2 waves of press.
Yeah.
And so it probably actually suited him a bit more, because his longer range passing doesn't have, he's got more margin for error when he goes longer than when he has to try and thread it through to the first midfielder or whoever else. But I was quietly impressed with that. I was also, and Jim's mentioned it there, I was really impressed with Jorginho, because it's weird in a game like that, of that magnitude, of that opposition as well, that Jorginho's best quality, or like to sum up his performance as it were, was he didn't notice him, because that's usually the kind of game where he makes a considerable fuck up. But he was really calm, recycled the ball really well. I don't think he made a single tackle. I don't necessarily think he out-muscled anyone, but he never wasted the ball.
He was just the grown-up, wasn't he? And he was booked on something like 8 minutes.
Yeah, and after that, you think he's in trouble
here. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The maturity of that performance, was echoed throughout the rest of the team as well. Mentally, it was such a strong performance. I felt Arsenal with a stronger team in the first half, was relieved to get to half-time, obviously. Then there was a spell where they looked pretty dominant. Then there was about a 15-minute period where it's like, all right, City are working up to something here. It feels like they're going to get into a second gear. And Arsenal just didn't let them. I think you're the best team won on the day, and that has been what we've been hoping for a while. It's not like just like, oh, got to be great if we could scab a win. We need to play them and beat them handily. I mean, handily is probably exaggerating it for a 1-0 win, but I really strongly feel the best team won there, and that is going to set Arsenal up mentally really, really well.
I don't think that matters, going back to what Marcus says before. It's just about winning the game, because I think if you go to the corresponding fixture last season, Arsenal's performance was really good for quite a lot of it. And they were the better team for quite a lot of it. They just ended up getting picked off.
Yeah, that's what you want to avoid.
But that's the 3-1 at the Emirates when Grealish scores. It's funny how you mentioned. I can't remember the sort of ebb and flow of the match, so I'll take your word for it there. I just remember coming away thinking, yeah, Man City are better than them, aren't they? Yeah, and that was the feeling. Yeah. Whether that was accurate of the game or not, they
didn't really have to extend themselves.
Well, indeed,
they were just grown up, to use Jim's words.
But so I stress, I can't remember the ebb and flow of the game. I just remember the finish of the game, and the Man City won, and it was like, But I think to not lose is also very, very important. It sounds such a stupid thing to say, but when you set yourselves up and it's 0-0 and it's late on in the game, well, then you can win via heavy deflections. You know what I mean? You open up these options.
It wasn't a deflection. It was deliberately bouncing off Ake's face.
Is that right?
He's right in the face as well.
Yeah, it really was.
You've criticised some of the goals Frank Lampard scored.
You're absolutely right, because there was a point where I felt like both teams were settling for a point. Yeah. Both had 2 people in front of their defences. Even the way that Tomiyasu was quite far forward was an element of like, look, you might
playing in the hole.
Yeah, you might as well just go up there, mate.
Have
a little wander around, give him a nudge, but run straight back when we don't have the ball.
But those tactics, though, of using Tomiyasu and using Kai Havertz's height and all this kind of stuff.
Great layoff, by the way, for his assist.
But it shows you how Arteta is evolving as a coach, and is not just sort of wedded to perhaps 1 or 2 ideas. Yeah. Because when people say, oh, Guardiola doesn't like to do... Well, actually, sometimes you've got to go over the press. A long ball is not necessarily a bad thing.
No.
If you do it every week, it becomes very predictable.
Yeah.
But in a certain game, and particularly like that, it's very effective.
He made a big sort of noise at the start of the season about wanting the team to be more unpredictable in terms of both personnel and tactics, and changing formations and whatnot within games. And this was a great example of that. All 4 substitutes involved in the goal.
Yeah.
Like I say, Tomiyasu playing as a sort of attacking midfielder late on in a game where it's tight and it's 0-0.
But it's
just very hard to prepare for a thing like that, which is obviously a strength of Guardiola's himself, and that it was really fascinating to see it play out like that. We were talking about it on Friday, saying I think it will be about the tactical nuance of either coach that will decide this game, and I think that's how it panned out.
Indeed, and to play Tomiyasu in that position now every week would be silly. Again, hear what's going on is, you know.
But you talking, Marcus, about not losing is really important. I think the win is really important because
you get points, don't you?
Well, there is that,
and they don't get any.
I'm thinking the recrimination over what didn't happen with Kovacic would have been much bigger.
Well, we were due to move on to that
frothing.
Yeah. So
was anyone else, even Jim, was anyone else just waiting for him to score?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yes.
Up until he went off on 68 minutes, I was like, I know who's going to win, and I know who's going to score the goal.
Oh man, I look. The referee had two good opportunities to send him off.
The second one was outrageous.
Dude, the first one,
absolutely couldn't believe it. But
if he walks
within the
context
context of the first one,
you're thinking
he's lucky there. The second one just completely get away with it.
What is this sort of trend at the moment that you get a yellow card, which is whether it's a questionable red or just a yellow card, fine. You then have to test the referee immediately. Bruno Guimaraes did it against West Ham.
Yeah,
I can't remember who it was. Was it? I forget who it was. Maybe one of the Liverpool players. Was it Trent Alexander-Arnold away to Newcastle?
Yes.
On Anthony Gordon. There was.
Jota's red card was that obviously the silly booking was the first one, but then he immediately takes out.
Yeah, exactly. There's another one there. Like this season, it seems to be like the managers sit their players down and go, right, if you get booked and you get a chance to test the referee for a booking, you've got to take it straight away.
I'll tell you what, if you're Casemiro, you're absolutely frothing because that was your life in Madrid. And now he's getting cards left and right. Now he's a Man United player.
I think we can all agree Kovacic should have been sent off. The only question is for which tackle?
Yeah.
Now we have the full context of what happened. I'm pleased that he wasn't sent off because you might then think, had Arsenal gone to win the game against 10, there's a sense it's like, but can we do it against 11 players? So, it's
that is the ultimate hindsight, Jim.
Yeah,
you say that he was pleased he wasn't sent off.
What a comfortable position to be able to take.
Unbelievable.
Hopefully they'll get someone completely unfairly sent off against us at the Etihad. I think that would only be fair.
Is that how it works?
I hope so, Marcus.
People say, well, it ebbs and flows. It swings and roundabouts.
Yeah,
the
it
Premier
evens
League.
itself out over a season,
so that you've got that in the bag.
Got that bank.
That's safe. That's in the bag. All right.
Well, Andy before was saying about the evolution, as it were, of like this Guardiola team into like more English, centre backs, striker, and stuff like that.
Yeah, guaranteed success.
But like not having a brute like Rodri in midfield was such a big issue here.
Yeah.
Like, we mentioned it before. Someone just to take the game by the scruff of the neck and not even just drag it with him, but just like shake his players into like, come on, like we're Man City here. Remember who we are.
And you're missing.
He's bent so many of those.
Well.
Yeah, I mean, with Rodri, he's bent so many of those games. Against Arsenal to his will as well, hasn't he? Yeah.
Erling Haaland, Jack Grealish and Kyle Walker seem to get into an altercation with the Arsenal set piece coach on their way down the tunnel after full time.
Who used to be at Man City,
He did, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you never talked us that.
I know, but I wonder if
we didn't know we could play it long.
Did you see the? Why didn't you tell us that was a thing?
Stick it in the box. It seems.
We're doing Rondo for 10 years.
I mean, I tell you what, like that. It sort of bodes. I mean, you read into it what you like, and I will. For the neutral, maybe for the Arsenal fans, that rivalry, they seemed a little bit rattled, etc., etc.
It's good. It's good for the. I'm a big fan of this.
Yeah.
The video itself, because obviously they didn't have a close up of it. It shows like Kyle Walker going down the tunnel, the coach coming over to like shake his hand, and Kyle Walker being like, dismissing him, presumably because like he didn't like the way he celebrated beforehand, or something happened. Yeah. And then he clearly says something, and it's so funny because Walker goes up to him, Haaland comes up to him, and the coach immediately is like, "Oh shit!" Oh God,
yeah, okay. and he's not got the option of running away. No, Kyle Walker, has he?
Yeah. That's a good point. Haaland's like, "You go get him, bring him here, we'll feast on him."
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Of course, though, the win for Arsenal meant it helped out Tottenham Hotspur greatly because they would stay top of the league. Look, it's all coming up North London. It's good to see them working together. And Spurs got a nice win away to Luton Town, of course, winning 1-0. And I said nice because they were down to 10 men. Yves Bissouma was sent off in the first half. He got a second yellow for diving, and he didn't complain.
You say he got sent off for diving. Are you sure it wasn't multiple murder? Because that was certainly what was inferred in the commentary.
Shame! Shame! Shame!
Tar
Close
that
down the
man!
sport! Outrageous.
I know. It's so funny.
Imagine if he'd have spit at him instead of breaking his leg. That'd be disgraceful, wouldn't it?
No, he spat at the players on his way down as he was diving.
Oh.
That would be the ultimate. That would be. He'd have to leave the country.
Ooh, yeah, he would.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? Like these are things we hate in footballing culture. Is like the diving and the spitting. It's like if you're gonna do, like, we would rather you break his nose than dive, and it's kind of like, I'm not sure the guy with the broken nose thinks that.
I think shaming people is also really bad, though.
Yeah.
And that is not a good response.
I mean, look, but we shouldn't lose sight of the fact that he was a silly boy.
He was.
And we genuinely don't like to see simulation. We don't like to see nonsense commentary like that.
You know, when you see like strikers defending, that was a non-forward player's dive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
But I thought there was something very satisfying about him being sent off and him just taking it.
Not complaining, I give
He was
him
like,
credit for that.
no, you got me. That's entirely fair.
But of course, Spurs won. Mickey van der Ven scored via another Maddison assist. Loves it, doesn't he?
He does. Yeah, he's well into it. I mean, it is his job.
He's well into it. Yeah, Jim Campbell,
what you've done
sucking
there,
the romance out of football.
What you've done there,
Just
you've
that
taken,
part,
you've got Jim on his high from Arsenal,
That's right.
and you've moved immediately into Tottenham and gone to him straight away. What did you think he was going to say?
I think you find that he jumped in there. I was
Two-footed.
Two-footed, yeah. Missed me, but I dived.
That kick was little.
You not like it? Yeah.
They've invented a new colour, and it's that. Awful.
What do you think of Australians? Aren't they funny?
Yeah, aren't they lovely?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't met all of them, but
yeah. I mean, there's more of a Greek influence, would you say there?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. But Mickey VDV said post-match, he said post-match about what happened before the match. He said, before the game, Son said to me, "You're going to score your first goal today." And I thought, that's menacing, isn't it? Does he have his hand on his throat up against the wall?
I don't think Son had his hand on Mickey van der Ven. Did you say that?
Very in character.
Did you see the way he laid down the microphone at the end of the game?
Is that right?
Yeah, so we did the TNT Sports roundtable thing and had the microphone. They said goodbye and they carried on with their segment, and he gently put it down so that it didn't rattle around.
It's like you were leaving your infant child's room after you've put them to sleep.
Yeah.
Sort of business.
Marvellous. He's a very
fantastic finish, wasn't it?
Yeah,
really,
great.
Really good.
Also, he's just outstanding. Yeah. And he's made Romero that little bit more sensible.
Yeah.
Yes.
But also sensible, even words.
Yeah.
Journalist.
We know what you meant.
Still hasn't been capped for the Netherlands, yeah? Presumably because they can't, much in the same way that if you're building something in the centre of town, you could only have things above so many things above a certain height. You can't have Van Dijk and Van der Ven in that central defence.
And it took Sven Botman ages to get a cap as well. Right. You've got to point that out. I mean, you wouldn't say it's a vintage Netherlands team, but they are pretty well stocked for central defenders. Yeah. So it might take a while.
Got good options at right back as well, Andy.
Yeah.
In Kenny Tete. Come on, then.
Come on.
It's another hill I'm ready to die on.
Oh, my gosh.
Right. Yeah, okay, Andy doesn't fancy it.
The other thing we should say is that Spurs should have been 3-0 up, but what a chance for Adebayo.
I know. I
go with your left foot.
Yeah.
Use your left foot.
Just put it in the net.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, how would Luton look back at this game? Because it's Tottenham, for crying out loud, which usually means you should have won the game, but nowadays it means you perhaps won't win the game, if you see what I mean. But, they're down to 10 men. That chance, 1-0 is no disgrace losing to the side who are top of the league, lest we forget, Jim. It may be a goal scored, but they're still top.
They were a little bit wasteful, though, weren't they? I mean, I don't think, even with the sending off, I don't think the scoreline reflects the game. They could have won that 3-0 comfortably, even, with the sending off.
We also
a bit more clinical earlier.
We also should say, I think Spurs paid them a lot of respect by actually just shutting down everything they were good at.
Yes.
Like Morris didn't really get a sniff throughout.
Well, I mean, it was difficult for Morris. It's always going to be difficult against a side like Spurs. He was seen finishing the first half holding a bloody tissue to his nose. He's that type of guy.
He looked crazy.
Ooze blood.
Yeah, indeed, Jim.
Because it was still, they had, because what they do with nosebleeds now, they stick tampons up there.
Right.
Yeah, because they absorb blood.
Yeah.
And his nose was bleeding so much that it was just coming through.
Yeah.
He looked psychotic.
Yeah, he does a bit. One of his teammates was talking about how crucial he is to Luton on one of the broadcasters, and he said, "We said last season, feed the bear because he's the big bear." May not have said it in that tone, Andy.
I thought you're not meant to feed bears. I thought that was the opposite of what
I mean, you should feed them, but as in, don't have food around them?
Don't feed them yourself.
Yes.
I think that's
right,
it.
okay.
Just like chuck them something.
From a safe distance.
Exactly. It begs the question, does Carlton Morris jobby in the woods, Andy? We don't have time to answer that now. Spurs man Emerson Royal made a compilation video of the birth of his child recently. I was kind of reluctant to talk about this because it's the birth of your child, and it's a bit personal.
So why have you made it sound like a skills video with like Eurotrash music?
But he posted it on social media.
He created it and posted it. It's a lovely little story of a
there was hair and makeup.
Life.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I look. Fair enough. Congratulations, we have to say.
Yeah.
At least he didn't do any irritating dancing like Robbie Williams did when he posted that thing of his wife giving birth.
What? He was dancing while his wife was giving birth?
Well, I think his wife was in labour at the time, but they were in the hospital and he had music on. Because they often don't encourage you to bring in music and try and make the ambience.
Right, okay.
And he was like, bopping away.
Was he just playing his songs?
I can't remember exactly, but in my mind's eye, yes.
Do you want Angel again?
We'll do one for Ange. I don't know. The good thing, though, for going back to Luton Town is that they're not going to finish bottom of the league because Sheffield United are in the division. They're shit. They are so bad. I watched Fulham beat them 3-1. And Fulham aren't really scoring goals this season. And
they did it hard way, really,
They did it the hard way. Honestly, Sheffield United are really bad. They need a change or something because they are just... It's
awful injury to Chris Basham as well.
Very big
loss.
Indeed, you knew it was up the other end to where I was sitting, but yeah, awful stuff. Indeed, I mean there was 14 minutes of injury time in the first half, which goes to show. But
one of the weirdest bangers you've ever seen from Tom Kearney.
Tom Kearney, yeah, he's
off
got
the head of Fotheringham.
It shows you just how good Kearney is. He twists himself up, let alone the opposition.
It's one of those
Martinelli's
things,
lucky, but Kearney's a magician. And bias is showing.
I couldn't agree more, Jim. And he gets the assist, of course, using the crossbar to outfox the goalkeeper, and he nodded it in. This game will be remembered by me for a man who was sat just a couple of seats down and run row in front for taking this man had skinhead tattoos on head and body. Couldn't see all the body. But it was another man's body that seemed to offend this man. There was a chap who was sat a few rows down, who was just sat there, wasn't gobbing off, nothing, and he had his top off, and it was quite a nice day. He had decent torso, I would say, nicely tanned. Like, there was nothing offensive about this man.
Right.
And for some reason, bald man with tattoos on head took offence. Oi! Get your top on! Get your top on! It's like,
who cares? What difference does that make?
Jim, I found
You'll catch your death!
Stop making me feel self-conscious.
Yeah,
shave your head as well.
That could have been it. Honestly, I am amused and baffled in equal measure. And I wanted to say something. I was like, "What are you?" I thought, this guy might take a chunk out of my flesh.
I do love sometimes football gets people so angry that they just don't know how to think. They just lose all normality.
They're both in the Fulham end, which firstly, Fulham. And secondly, you're not opposition fans. I don't know why he took so much umbrage with this.
So when you're talking about umbrage, you're really talking about those Stoke fans and the kid from Leicester.
Oh, this was amazing.
That was another one talking
of things in the crowd. Amazing. If anyone hasn't seen it, there's a very small child. He must be, 7 or 8 years old?
If that.
Just showing the score to two fully grown adults in the Stoke end who are absolutely spitting feathers, having conniptions. Just incredible. Just the man children that we have in this game are so entertaining sometimes.
But he's not even ragging them to Vardy level.
No,
he's simply just showing his fingers.
He's so calm and composed, this kid. He'll manage Leicester one day.
Yeah. What I find funny is, though, that those two dickheads, sad excuses for adults, don't understand that they have the option of not looking at him. They have the option of just go back and look at the game. That's why you came here. I am not looking away from that child until he takes that digit down.
I like the idea that they maybe in that situation would be like, right, let's fucking do his dad. Yeah. They see his dad. They see his dad, and it's very similar to your man at Fulham, really built, and they're like, oh fuck it, we'll just have to do the kid then.
Yeah, we'll come back here in about 12 years, and then you're in trouble, son.
Yeah. Right then, let's take a break in which we can all put our tops back on.
Have you got a fresh box of lemons in the office, Harrison?
Of course, every few days. Now, from the beginning it was difficult because every day I need to change the lemon because the energy wasn't good. But now they can few days more, 3-4 days, and they stay fresh.
Welcome back to the Football Ramble. You can't deny it. The lemons are working. Thanks very much to Sean Cleaver for choosing today's clip. Keep them coming, everybody. You can choose the intro line for Wednesday's show in 2 days' time. That'll be. Just sign up for the Football Ramble Patreon using the link in the show description. Right, everybody, it's time for an update on Manchester United 2, Brentford 1. Easy peasy, Vish. The spirit of Barcelona 99 was there in Scott McTominay.
Yes.
He's done it again. We knew he was capable of it.
Put the contract on the table.
On the cable.
Man United are back.
How long do you want on your contract?
This was actually quite nourishing because as soon as Brentford scored, I was like, right, that's that done.
Yeah.
Why didn't I try and salvage my Saturday evening? And, the scenes at the end were, obviously very temporary. It's a very temporary balm when Scott McTominay is your match winner when you throw him forward, and Harry Maguire having accompanied Johnny Evans in the back of your, in central defence for the whole game.
Yes. Because
that's the scale of United's injury issues. When it goes in, there's a level of like, this is papered over the cracks and stuff like that. But I was still a little bit like, thank God it's not 3 successive home defeats.
Yeah.
How far does that drill down? If those two get injured, will we have like Mikel Silvestre and Steve Bruce?
I won't be. I won't be here next week because I'll be on. I think we've all signed up to some kind of like duty here.
I thought you were going to get picked by.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So I'll be on standby. So I have to wait for my.
Is it like jury duty?
It's a little bit, yeah. Except it's not 12 good men and true.
No, and nobody wants. And people would rather do jury duty.
Exactly. Yeah. But there's something to be said for like Scott McTominay is someone that I don't really rate. I think he hear me out. So maybe a couple of seasons ago, he felt like a drop off between like where United wanted to be and what they actually were. And one of the issues I have with him is that he comes on, he's a bit directionless. Obviously, a lot of energy, a lot of passion.
Chose Scotland over England.
Another red blot on his copybook. But basically got to a stage where like he was just too chaotic and spoke of like the issues within United that they just had no real structure. And actually what they need more of is a bit more, someone who is a bit more direct, someone who is more energetic, someone who actually gives a shit. And I'm really pleased with him. The fact that he doesn't just get the equaliser, but gets the winner in the fashion that he does as someone who just like puts himself about and is doing it in their box when it is getting a bit chaotic. The other thing I will say is Brentford are quite bad now.
Yeah,
and we talk about Tony being a big miss. Someone like Rico Henry as well totally distorts them because then you've got Hickey playing on the left as well instead of the right, and like
really felt like their legs went wobbly by the end of it. It felt like they just did not have what it took to see the game out and were completely their own worst enemies.
Because they were very good at the start. Like they bossed it, and United was so chaotic at the beginning. Like embarrassing.
Brentford aren't getting the results that they. Yeah, I know what you mean. Sometimes, I don't know if it's right to say they're flat to deceive. I think again because of their brilliant performances in sort of recent seasons in the Premier League, perhaps we think more of them than the sum of their parts and all that kind of stuff. But when you take out some crucial elements, and also maybe there's an element of inertia, I don't know. We've seen this with teams before, haven't we? When they go up and they don't have a huge budget, it's difficult to compete.
There's a limit to how far you can go.
Yes,
if you're Brentford, and I think we've really found that if you look at the players they've tried to sign over the last couple of windows, you go back the summer before last, they tried to sign Mudryk. This summer they offered loads to Fiorentina. They offered like 40 million odd to try and sign Nico Gonzalez, and he's like, yeah, Brentford, I'm not interested. And that is a barrier that they're going to face for a considerable time. Players want to play in the Premier League, but the players that they want to get to go to the next level aren't really interested in going to Brentford, which is, unfortunate and unfair, but this is the situation they're in. And you have those teams, don't you? I mean, I suppose Crystal Palace are that to the nth degree in that they're never going down and they're never getting into Europe. But most of the teams who are in that sort of position, they do something to sort of, reframe their situation, to give themselves some extra meaning, to continue to flourish. And I mean, even Palace tried to do that a couple of times, didn't they? When they brought in Frank de Boer and when they brought in Patrick Vieira, and they've rode back from that. And they, of all those teams, have found a sort of semi-comfortable place. But, Brentford are still in the, I guess you could say, Charlton, Swansea, Southampton.
So do you think a remedy for that would be like being seen to be a club that offloads players to bigger clubs. Because, you know, Brighton's thing is basically like people come to them because they know they're going to improve, which you do at Brentford. Players improve at Brentford.
And it's a Premier League platform.
Yeah, and you move on to bigger clubs. Whereas if you think like Brentford have done that for a while, but they've done that in, like, you know, the level below. So you think of like Ollie Watkins, Mope, obviously, you know, before.
Your man at West Ham.
Tarkowski, Ben Rama. Yeah. But they need to so basically, if Tony wasn't banned, they'd have a situation where maybe Tony goes to a big club and someone thinks, "Oh, right, there's a platform
exactly.
there."
That's it. The pathway's not obvious at the moment, is it?
But it will become obvious. You know, I think that's the thing. You know, you can't deny the magnificent work.
But you need a big number, don't you? You need like a 70 million Tony to so and so, or maybe that's in Buemo, like down the line.
Possibly. I think the advantage, if you're Brentford, is I would think they're in proper trouble in many other seasons. But the 3 teams who got promoted are going to make it hard for anyone else to get relegated.
I'd be amazed if Brentford got relegated.
I think unless there's a dramatic change soon as well, and it's possible that there will be because of some of the signings they've not managed to get on the pitch. You look at Bournemouth as well and think, they've got a lot of catching up to do.
It shows you the fact that we sat here, you know, again, testament to what Brentford are doing. You know, when Brentford went up, people would think, you know, in a few seasons' time, people saying, I'd be amazed if they go down. You know, again, you can't lose sight of what they do.
It's an incredible achievement.
And also, by the way, they nearly got a result at Old Trafford.
Which
I know is not that hard these days, but it's still impressive.
They have to take something from that because they lost to Everton at home. They drew with Bournemouth at home. 2 bad teams.
Yeah,
they're
not in a brilliant patch at the moment, Brentford. But you know, we think they'll come good. I mean, but Manchester United. I mean, starting Maguire and Evans at the back, I think is a masterstroke. And it paid off, Andy.
You do?
Well, I've been calling for Maguire to get back in there because of the rubbish that they've got elsewhere at centre half, and in he comes, assist.
An almost clean sheet and an assist.
There we are, is how I'm going to frame it.
Yeah.
But of course, that is accurate. With Andre Onana in goal, it's difficult to get a clean sheet at the moment. He's not having the best of times. I mean, it wasn't a howler or anything, but you would fancy him to do a bit better. Would you say howler? Would you go as far as that?
I don't know. He could have done a lot better.
Yeah.
I thought it was an interesting collective fault. It was like the Brentford goal from a United perspective was the opposite of total football, in that everyone, like a succession of players, it was like a team move of bad defending, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So many people were culpable for that. It wasn't just Onana, no.
Yeah, it was quite a slapstick goal.
It was a bit, yeah.
Like Maguire gives the ball to Casemiro when he doesn't really want it. Casemiro shows him he doesn't really want it.
Don't bring Maguire into this, Andy.
Don't.
He got a lovely assist off the slab, didn't he? Why can't we leave it at that?
It was funny because as the move progressed, Maguire did seem to stand out the way in a sense, this has nothing to do with me. I've been in the team for weeks. Outrageous. Don't look at me.
Well, look, people were saying, having a go, why is he in the England squad? He's not starting for or even playing for Manchester United. Well, he started that game, didn't he?
He did.
Right?
He did.
There we are, you see.
So,
you're so one-eyed, it's untrue.
Well, I think it's one more eye than a lot of people when it comes to this issue, Vish.
So often a win like that, in the circumstances, despite the performance maybe being a bit underwhelming, can be a real energising thing, which I think United need at the moment. How do you see the next sort of run of games going? Do you think this is going to kickstart them into being a bit more...
Well, Ten Hag said that, didn't he? He said this needs to kickstart us now. This is not a case of, we got away with that one. This has got to lead to something.
Did it really feel like that to you, Vish?
Speaking on behalf of Vish, no.
I think I felt... I was just glad it wasn't another defeat. And it was like seeing those scenes... kind of led by the players, actually. Like Tomine running off, Garnacho running off. Like there are a lot of players there who need to be given more games because generally, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
Rashford and Casemiro coming off was quite important. You know, Ten Hag has made tough decisions before, and I think we've ended up sticking with a lot of the same players within a lineup because how else are they going to get better playing together? And now he's at the stage where he's lost a bit of like temporary patience with some of them and get them out and also get them back in on merit rather, you know, through training performances and stuff like that. And I suppose Sancho is the one that stands out there as someone who hasn't done that and therefore is jettisoned. So they've got Manchester United have, after the international break, of Sheffield United, Man City at home, Fulham, and then Luton at home, Everton away. So there's a degree of, you know, points there before they end up playing Newcastle at the start of December, where they can pick up a bit of momentum. But that City game is, I mean, that sticks out like a sore thumb now.
Yeah. Smug otherwise, that wasn't it? Indeed, how smug that was. Just cannon fodder for us. We're just going to eat up the points. This is why everyone hates you.
Yeah. Outrageous. Yeah. Did you see, gentlemen, that David De Gea, the former Manchester United goalkeeper, who's still without a club, by the way?
Yeah, there's been talk in Spain for
32.
There's been talk in Spain for a couple of months now that he's considering retiring.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
I think that'd be a bit of a shame.
Did we broke De Gea?
I think the thing is, I
broke a
think
human.
that
Like he's.
I think
what?
he's.
players who Premier League players or players who've been in the Premier League for a long time who don't have a club anymore. I would love to see, because they've got so much money.
Go to Saudi.
Maybe
actually, we paid him a shitload. Yeah.
Maybe him and Eden Hazard and a couple of others could just make their own club.
No, I just want to see them at a buffet, both getting really fat. Hazard be like, no, but this is how you do it.
You're talking about a man who got substituted in an international game and literally went and had a burger with his dad while the game was still going on.
It's exactly what we'd all do in that situation.
Yeah, that's why we're not in that situation. De Gea has been posting cryptic messages on Instagram.
Yeah,
have you seen this?
The reaction to this is really interesting, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and it's been, and I think the reason the people are saying they're cryptic is because it's coinciding with his old team playing, Manchester United. He posted a story of him playing Rainbow Six Siege, which is a computer game. Yes, computer game. I will not change. David De Gea's character in Rainbow Six Siege was seen aiming his gun down a hallway, waiting for a target to appear. But when he turned to move to a new room, De Gea's character was immediately shot by an opponent, and De Gea captioned the video, "Perfect timing."
It's so cryptic as to make me think it's got nothing to do with Man United.
Well, Jim, when Galatasaray won 3-2 at Old Trafford, moments after the final whistle, David De Gea posted a message of him and his mates smirking on Instagram, which was interesting. I should have said that the perfect timing video game one, it was accompanied by 2 emojis giving the middle finger as well. So again, a lot of cryptic stuff out there. If you've managed to crack it, then let us know.
What I read from this is he's underlining that
he's bored.
Not only is Thibaut Courtois in a far better position in the goalkeeping game, he's better at video games as well than De Gea. That's what I would take from that.
I see. What do you think of this? Wayne Rooney has left DC United. He's been linked with the Birmingham City job. Just hang around a bit longer, Wayne. You never know what other big job could come up. Manchester United.
Oh, I see.
I thought you meant into Miami.
I thought you meant England. Yeah. I don't know where you're going with that.
Imagine.
Would you fancy Wazza and
No.
Okay. Say that to his face.
Why would I have to do that? I'm not working in recruitment.
Because that's how we test how much of a man you are.
Oh, I'm not a man. I've told you that before.
Oh, I see what you mean. Fair enough.
That's why I'm here.
Well, you're very welcome.
I'm not with Eden Hazard's dad eating a burger.
Yeah, have a burger and play a video game. Brighton 2, Liverpool 2. A lot of faffing around at the back in this game. Needed some good old-fashioned centre-half play, Andy. There was.
I don't like all this playing it out from the back.
See?
Kick it up there.
You hear that? That's Jim. That's what's Jim exactly.
Have you aged like 30 years this weekend? What are you on about video games? Kick it forward.
I've not become Bruce Forsyth.
Why policeman shorter?
But it was a good game though, down on the south coast. Lewis Dunk got the decisive equaliser for Brighton. Of course, they could have won it.
Yeah, the
could have won
chance.
it. Oh my goodness!
And João Pedro as well. Yeah,
João Pedro's one.
I mean, it wasn't that the feeling from that game though? That both teams came out feeling they could have won it, and they definitely had enough shambolic moments to have easily lost it as well.
Yeah, shambolic moments at the back if you want to use more.
I like Shambo as shorthand though.
Shambo, yeah. Shambo number 5. It was. I mean, look, it was interesting when you get the teams, the press, right? They like to play it out the back, and the press can be effective. You know, we talked about David Ray, with that moment against Alvarez, was it in that game? But it's great for the neutral when you're watching the game. You love the chaos. You love the chaos.
Yeah, but you see it with those two teams. It's a means to an end. Like I think it works out really well that they're playing each other, where neither could take too much from the fact that they fucked up. Because they're like, well, just we're going to do it as well. We'll probably fuck up in a bit anyway.
It's great when you get a game of football like this, and 4 goals could have been a few more. But that's what we want on a Sunday afternoon, is it not, Andy?
Brighton have got finishing 12th written all over them. that they just seem like overwhelmed.
Europa League,
really, by everything. Yeah, I think that's it. It's really tough for them.
I don't know. A draw at home against Liverpool is symptomatic of them having a tough time.
Yeah, but this is
that's the nature of it, though.
But this is the problem with football, isn't it? That we take all our conclusions from the result rather than what actually happened in the game, and they behaved with the poise of a new parent. Really, they were just all over the place, really, and their quality enabled them to get something out of the game, and Liverpool's scattiness enabled them to get something out of the game as well.
Yeah, enjoyable that Brighton fans were chanting, "We want a replay."
That was that was fun.
Also, while
Can we have that from every club that play them, please?
Adingra and Baleba as well, like just throw 2 kids on, start against Liverpool and have them be fine.
Well, indeed. I mean, De Zerbi said after the game, I have to congratulate my club. Brighton have found another 2 great players. Talking about those 2. It is just... It's a lovely old
in his head.
Baleba's a symptom of how difficult they're going to find it going forward, though, I think.
Oh, really?
Because I think they bring in Baleba, who's got relatively little first-team experience at Lille. Like, he looks a really good player. They start with an opening offer of, 18 million euros, I think. They end up paying 30 for him because everyone is looking at Brighton now.
Yeah, right.
We ain't going to sell you a player that you're going to sell for 6 times that amount in 18 months' time. And it's going to get more and more difficult for them to repeat that. So I endorse what De Zerbi was saying. You know, that they have to be congratulated, but how many more of them are there? Because it's going to get hella expensive.
But I think what you could do with that situation is basically spend. If you say you've got, let's talk about the summer. You've got maybe a 4-month window to recruit players. For the first 3 months, send your scouts on decoy missions. Get everyone else to spend their money, and then do your business in that 1 month.
Yeah, there we are.
And if we're talking about decoy missions, it's a good way to have a jolly to see Andy Carroll at Amiens.
Exactly.
Now you're talking, Andy. Did you see Paul Merson and Mike Dean had a huge disagreement live on
very
Sky?
Enjoyable.
It was, wasn't it?
Very enjoyable.
That's great, isn't it?
I think Merson really kind of accidentally summed up the strength of feeling against a lot of the nonsense you hear from PGMOL in his tone. As we were talking last week, weren't we, about the idea that there needs to be a mechanism in place that is essentially a sort of big red button where you can go, something ridiculous has happened. We need to be able to undo that ridiculous thing.
Like a dump button on radio, live radio.
That exact sort of thing. And Mike Damon just, no, the rules are the rules. And of course, I understand that is how things work at the moment. There is no mechanism for that. But it's not a ridiculous thing to suggest there should be, and they're behaving like it is a ridiculous thing to suggest that.
Well, because I thought actually that the points that Mike Dean expressed were fairly good, and they're all reasonable. But what I did think as well is that unlike any other ex-referee that's been in that telly situation before, it's just like the disrespect with which he speaks to people is unreal. Because normally these...
I need a little throne.
Yeah. Normally referees are these meek little men who just get shouted down by those, you've never played the game footballers. And he's like, I'm not having that. I'm going to sledge you.
I don't think referees could be described as meek little men, considering what they do.
In a TV situation, that they always are.
Yeah,
they always are.
But then I think if you saw the way...
but that's not their job, though, to quote Jim Campbell.
Yeah.
Or paraphrase.
I think if you see the way that, say, like Peter Walton was spoken
into a cupboard.
Yeah, and stuffed into a cupboard.
That sounds really sinister.
Well, it was really sinister. He didn't let him sit with everyone else.
Sounds a bit Noel's house party.
Yeah, he probably didn't even have access to the same canteen. It's mean. But I think I think Mike Dean's just preempting that. He's like, I've seen the way you talk to referees like me when we do this, apart from Howard Webb, who's a big unit.
Yeah, true enough. I mean, because Mike Dean was always very kind of empathetic when he was a referee on the pitch, wasn't he?
Off you pop.
Off you pop. To be fair, I'll go back to that Paul Durkin one where he told Patrick Vieira to F off when he sent him off at Ivory that time. Oh, dearie me. Gentlemen, I think we've come to the end of the show. Oh, no, hang on. One more piece of business. Phil Neville.
We have come to the end of the show.
Is reportedly in the final.
Ridiculous.
In the final 6 or 7. Or 7 candidates to take the job at
the Football Ramble is part of the
Fizzer Network. He's in the final 6 or 7 candidates to take the job at the Portland Timbers, which is the official Ramble MLS team.
6 or 7?
Yeah. Did you not know that?
No.
Oh.
So have you been petitioning hard for this, I assume?
Our man in Portland who used to play the Ramble theme tune over the...
as the teams came out?
No, at half-time, wasn't it? Was it half-time?
I think so.
Yeah, he was certainly, and he was at our show in Chicago.
He was.
He gave us some Portland gear. He'll have to give us some more gear in a minute. Lovely fella. I mean, one newspaper is going with that Phil Neville is front runner for New England Revolution and Portland Timbers jobs. Months after fired as Inter Miami sank to the bottom of the league.
6 or 7 candidates, though.
Well,
I mean, he must be like Simon Hollander in the Loop. Am I just meet in the room?
He is a bit like that, isn't he? So yes, let's all hope that Fizzer pops up at Portland, because I think that we would love that. The locals may not. But it would, I think it would be justice for what happened to him into Miami.
Will it make a difference to how much we hear about him, whether he gets the job or not?
We'll hear about him in equal measure, I think, Jim. There we are. Vish, would you like to have the final word on Fizzer?
Oh, no. Just, I hope he doesn't get the job.
Why?
Just because if he does get the job, we'll hear about him more.
Okay, yeah, I try to give a bit of smoke.
I want him to do a week's work experience here and finally learn how to make a cup of tea.
Fair enough, Andy. Thank you very much for listening to the Football Ramble, part of the Acast Creator Network. Myself, Pete, Vish and Jim are back on Wednesday to discuss whether Fizzer will get the job or not. Follow us on X, TikTok, Instagram and YouTube at Football Ramble. And don't forget to subscribe on your podcast. Thank you, Andy Brassel.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim Campbell.
Thank you.
Thank you, Producer Hannah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Philip Neville. Become good friends.
You can use the intro line if you want.
Okay.
Do it like an Australian.
I'll do it like a...
That was Ange. It was like he was in the room.
That was good.
It's amazing.
Oh, mate.
20 a day, help.
Cheers for watching another fantastic clip from the Football Ramble podcast. Make sure you click like on this video and subscribe to the channel, which means you will not miss a single upload.